Hey, today I'm talking about how Tantra has changed my life, and as I was thinking about what I was gonna say, I realized how many ways Tantra has changed my life. You know, the way that I'm sitting here like this, the way that I feel comfortable in my body, the way that I can use my sexual energy as a creation force, like this energy that I can just tap into as I speak. Just in general, the joy of being human, being in a human body. Yeah, the one thing that makes Tantra so special is that it sees the human body and the human experience as something sacred. So everything that we experience, everything that we are, how we are built, our bodies, everything is sacred because everything is Shakti. Every single thing that is manifested in the world is energy, and all energy is sacred. So there cannot be a hierarchy in what is more sacred than the other thing. That doesn't make sense, and I agree with that. It doesn't make sense that if everything is created by God, that there is still a hierarchy in what is better or worse. So that's why when I was getting in touch with Tantra, or being introduced to it totally made so much sense. Because the spiritual practices that I did before was more about trying to transcend the body, trying to not suppress but dissociate from the human experience, trying to disconnect from emotions. And as I said before, that is something that is very, very useful to not being thrown around by the waves of life, but Tantra brings that human aspect back in the game. The emotions, the pleasure, the urges, the desires, everything that we experience in our bodies. It brings it back as something that is just as sacred as enlightenment or as spirit. Another thing that really changed my life was this perspective on bodies, especially on female bodies, because many women, including myself, grow up with so much shame around our bodies, not just the shape, but also to be menstruating, to have cervical fluid in our underpants, and to have breasts and our vagina in general, how they look, you know, the hair and everything. There's so much shame around just our natural bodies. And in the Shakti Tantra tradition that I've studied, all of this, especially the things that make us most woman, are the most sacred. Because that is the purest and most direct manifestation of Shakti. So there are temples built with images of vaginas, because the vagina is the most, for them, the most pure symbol of femininity, of the divine feminine. So they would pray and they would use liquid that symbolizes blood, or they would use actual cervical fluids from priestesses and ceremonies. So everything that in most Western cultures is completely repressed and hidden and shamed is there something sacred. And that just offered a perspective that for me was game-changing. Because I suddenly, I had to reprogram my relationship to my body completely, and also seeing other women and realizing that there is no difference between us, you know, she's not more beautiful or better or whatever, because we're all unique manifestations of Shakti, the goddess. So then this whole sense of jealousy and of competition that we feel so often as girls is just falling away. And there is this uniting sense of, wow, these sisters, these women are just as sacred as me. And that also goes for men. My relationship towards men, how I see them, how I see their sexuality. I used to be so scared of men and of their sexual urges, their penis. I would comply in sex because I was learned to, and I enjoyed it in a way. But there was so much fear and like contraction towards men and having sex. Because I had many fearful experiences, and that's also sort of what we are taught, you know, that men are like these aggressive sexual beings, and the women are the damsels in distress. But in my Tantra journey, I also cultivated this perspective of the sacredity of men, of the masculine, of the male body, of the penis as well. That it's not a scary thing, but it's actually also a symbol, a beautiful, beautiful symbol of masculinity, of the divine masculine presence, that erect, strong, powerful, directed energy, and how a man is like a king. You can see the king. And I started seeing that in men, and I started being like, wow. Because men are also so shaped by our society, a certain mold. And I think that's what Tantra does, and what it did for me is to just reinterpret the society standards, literally all of them. There's not a single standard that I've learned from society or from my parents that hasn't been shattered. And I think that is such a powerful, powerful thing, to have a tool that can make you rethink everything. And then from there choose, what do I agree with? What is true for me? Instead of just believing, just going with what you're told and being unhappy in there. Today I'm adding a little taster of Tantra. And you can get that audio when you click the link in the subscription. And I hope this will spark something, some energy, some joy. Because I wish this freedom and this sense of aliveness for everybody.